Hello guys, today we are going to discuss tasks from this seminar, and in the first exercise we are given a table with quantity demanded and quantity supplied. And we have to find the price and how many units are produced and consumed. And in our first task, we don't have a tax on units. This means that quantity supplied will be equal to quantity demanded. And we need to find such a row in the table that quantity demanded will be equal to quantity supplied. And if you look at the table carefully, you will notice that on this row, our quantity supply is equal to quantity demanded and is equal to 4. And the price equilibrium in this case will be 60. Now let's talk about the task 1.2. In this case, we have a tax of $20 per unit, and it is introduced from buyers. So if there is a tax, we will have that price of buyers will not be equal to price of sellers. Instead, we will write an equation uh, which represents the relationship between price of sellers and price of buyers. And in our case, the tax is introduced from buyers. This means that uh, actually buyers will pay a lower price than the sellers. So we should subtract our tax from the price of buyers and get the price of sellers. And let's find out. If we'll look at the task, we will get t is equal to 20, and our price for buyers will be higher than in previous case, and it will go up, and our price for buyers now will be 70, and therefore the price for sellers will be $20 less, it will be 50, and our buyers will be able to afford only 3 units because now the price is higher, and so our quantity equilibrium in this case will be 3. And let's talk about the third task. How much tax does the government collect and who pays it? For this purpose, we will draw a graph representing our demand and supply and equilibrium. So in the first case, as you can see, our price equilibrium was 60 and our quantity equilibrium was 4. But then the tax was introduced and the price for producers now the price for producers now is less than 60, it is 50, and the price for buyers is now higher, it is 70, and in our case we need to find the change in price of buyers and change in price of sellers. So change in price for buyers is equal to our new price 70 minus our previous equilibrium price 60 and is equal to 10. And the change in price for suppliers is equal to 60 minus 50 is equal to 10. So we are interested only in positive figures. So in both cases, we will get a positive number. And how we can find the government revenue from the tax? Government revenue from the tax will be equal to our tax multiplied by quantity equilibrium in the second case, and it will be 20 multiplied by 3, and is equal to 60. So now let's talk about who pays the tax, and for that purpose we found the change in price. So consumers will pay 10 multiplied by 3 because the change in price for them was 10 and units that they bought were only 3 units, and producers will pay the same amount because the change in price was also 10. So that is it for the first task. Let's discuss the second task from the seminar. So we are given a market demand and market supply, and we need to find equilibrium P and equilibrium Q. So let's start from the beginning. So as we need to find equilibrium, we assume that quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So we write our equation instead of quantities and find the price, which is equilibrium price, and in our case it is equal to 10.5. And quantity equilibrium we get by inserting our price in any of these equations. So our quantity will be equal to 36. Now let's move to the next task. We need to find equilibrium P and Q if the per unit tax from producers is 4.5. So T means tax is equal to 4.5, and we write an equation. Price of suppliers is equal to price for customers minus our tax. And the second equation of our system will be quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So instead of our quantities, we write our functions. And yes, here the price is for buyers, and here is the price for sellers, and we take the first equation and put it in the second one. Instead of P for suppliers, we take our first equation. So 4 multiplied by price for customers minus 4.5. 126 is equal to 8 price equal to 4 price minus 18. 144 is equal to 12 price. So our price is equal to 12. Our price for suppliers according to the formula is equal to price of buyers, which is 12, minus 4.5. And it is equal to 7.5. Great. And now let's find our quantity equilibrium. So we need to either put price for buyers into the function for quantity demanded, or we can put the price for suppliers into the function of quantity supplied. So in the first case, we will receive 120 minus 8 multiplied by 12, and our quantity will be equal to 24. And in the second case, if we take the price for suppliers and put it into the function for quantity supplied, it will be also equal to 24. So it's a great way to check whether your solution was correct. So let's we need to find the tax burden. So for this, we need to find the change in price for buyers and the change in the price for suppliers and buyers. So in the first case, our new price is 12, and we subtract 10.5 and get 1.5. And in the second case, we take 10.5 and subtract 7.5 and get 3. And it is tax burden. So it is divided between the buyer and the seller. And let's find elasticity of demand and supply in this case, just to practice this topic. So elasticity for the demand function or price will be equal to the derivative of the demand function multiplied by P divided by Q. So in our case, our function is this one. So if we take the derivative from minus 8p, we will get minus 8, but because we have a module here, we just write 8, and we need to multiply by price. In our case, the price for buyer is 10.5, and the quantity is 36, and our answer is 2.33. Now let's find the elasticity of supply function by price, and in this case we take the derivative of our supply function again by price and multiply by p divided by q. So again our function is here. If we take the derivative from this function, we will take only the coefficient before p, it is 4, so we write 4 multiplied by, so the price is equal to 10.5 and quantity is equal to 36, and our elasticity is 1.33. So on your midterm, if you need to calculate the elasticity, you need not only to receive this number, but you should also make a conclusion about whether the demand or supply is elastic, non-elastic, and to determine the type of good if it is needed. So please don't forget about this on your midterm. So let's go to task 2.4. We need to find government revenue. So government revenue is equal to our tax multiplied by quantity equilibrium. So our tax is 4.5 and our quantity is 24. So our government revenue will be 108. And that's it for the second task. So guys, let's continue with the task number 3. And we are given market demand and market supply. And firstly, we need to find the equilibrium price and equilibrium quantity in the market, and also total producer's revenue. So we are given that price demanded is equal to 1000 minus 2q, and price supplied for suppliers is equal to 200 plus 6q. And firstly, let's work with these functions to get a function of quantity. So 2q is equal to 1000 minus price, and we divide it by 2, and we will get that quantity demanded is equal to 500 minus 0.5 price. Now let's do the same with the second equation. So 6q is equal to price minus 200, and let's divide it by 6, and we will get that quantity is equal to 1/6 of price minus 100 divided by 3. And our second step will be to equalize the quantity supplied to quantity demanded. So 500 minus 0.5 price is equal to 1/6. So we can just write price because it is one price and it is equilibrium price, minus 100 divided by 3. So 160 divided by 3 is equal to 2 divided by 3 price. So our price from this will be equal to 800, and to find quantity we need to use any of functions of quantity. So we can use, for example, the first one and put the price into this equation, and we will get 500 minus 400, and it will be equal to 100. And to find total revenue of the producers, we need to multiply 800 by 100, and we will get 80,000. So that was the answer for the first part. And now let's talk about the second part. So we see that the government implements a price floor of $1,000 per unit and agrees to maintain this price floor by purchasing any excess supply. And we need to find how many units will be purchased by buyers, how many units will be supplied by producers, how many units will be purchased by the government, and find the direct cost to the government of implementing this price floor. So our price floor is 1,000. So let's see how many units will be bought by buyers if the price is 1,000. So let's put it into this equation. So we will get 500 minus 1,000 divided by 2, and we see that actually nobody buys any units, maybe because it's too expensive. So our quantity purchased is equal to 0. But what about suppliers? What is quantity supplied if the price is equal to 1,000? So we put 1,000 into the equation about quantity supplied. So 1,000 divided by 6 minus 100 divided by 3, and it is equal to 133.33. So we see that nobody buys any units, and suppliers produce more than 100 units, and so quantity sold to buyers is equal to 0. And we know that the government agreed to buy the excess supply from the market, and in our case, excess supply is exactly the number of quantity supplied, and it will be purchased by government. So, government expands. So we multiply the quantity bought by government by the price of 1,000 and get 133,330. And basically it is the direct cost of the government of implementing this price floor. So let's continue with the exercise 3.3. So we know that the cost of storing each unit is $200 per unit for the month, and we need to find total cost of the government for implementing this price floor. And also we need to find total producers' revenue from selling product in this market. So as the cost of storing is $200 per unit, we need to multiply it by the number of units to receive the full cost, and it will be 26,666. And as for government expenses, as you remember from the previous case, the government pays for these units because it purchases the excess supply from the market, and now it has also to pay for storing of these products. So we basically just sum up these two costs and get 159,996. So let's consider the case 3.4. So government decided to replace the price floor with a subsidy, and it guarantees the producers $1,000 per unit. And we need to find how many units will consumer purchase, what price will consumer pay for these units, and how many units will be purchased, and also the cost to the government of this program. So subsidy, and as the government will pay, and if the government will pay to producers, it will add the subsidy to the price, and the quantity demanded will stay equivalent to quantity supplied. And price for suppliers, as it is guaranteed, it will be 1,000. So we fix it and we insert our numbers. Instead of price for suppliers, we take 1,000. Price for buyers, and subsidize. And now let's recall what was our equation for quantity demanded and quantity supplied from the previous case, and just rewrite it. So instead of price for suppliers, we will put 1,000. So after simplifying this system, we will get that price for buyers is equal to 1,000 minus subsidy. 1,600 divided by 3 is equal to 1/2 price for buyers plus 500 divided by 3. So now we need to put our equation for price for buyers into the second one. So 1,600 divided by 3 is equal to is equal to 500 minus 0.5 subsidy, because we take only half from this equation, plus 500 divided by 3. So now we simplify it even more and get something like this. So after computations, we will receive that subsidy is equal to 266.67. So in this case, our price for buyers, as you remember, is equal to 1,000 minus subsidy. So we take 1,000 and subtract our subsidy and get 733.33. The price for suppliers, as we said already, it is fixed and guaranteed by the government. And quantity equilibrium, so we just put our price in any of equations and get 133.33.